In 1924, an Italian widow on Hester Street could feed her family better than most Americans eat today. Social workers documenting tenement life noted that Italian families had the lowest rates of malnutrition despite earning the least money. They possessed culinary wisdom that turned the cheapest cuts into the most satisfying meals. Steam rising from Sunday saucepots, children gathering around tables that groaned under abundance, flavors that lingered for hours. Number 13 was so effective at stretching protein that butchers would save the best scraps for Italian mothers. Number 8 transformed what others considered waste into the centerpiece of celebration. Then mass production convinced us that real food was too much work. They created feasts from fragments, while we struggled to make dinner from fully stocked refrigerators. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button, because these secrets could transform your cooking forever. Let's count down 15 forgotten Italian foods that necessity created and convenience destroyed. Number 15. Pane cotto. This cooked bread soup sustained countless immigrant families. When bread went stale, Italian mothers transformed it into a hearty meal by simmering it with garlic, olive oil, and whatever vegetables were on hand. For just 5 cents, this humble dish could feed a family of 6 in 1924. Compare that to the $15 we spend on canned soup today. The technique was ingenious. Stale bread absorbed flavors while creating a substantial warming meal. Every morning in tenement kitchens, mothers made this soup using the previous day's unsold bread from local bakeries. Today, we discard nearly 40% of the bread we purchase while paying premium prices for rustic soups that pale in comparison. Number 14. Pasta e fagioli with bean water. Those immigrant women knew something we've forgotten. Bean water is liquid gold. When making pasta e fagioli, they soaked dried beans for 24 hours, then used that soaking liquid to cook both the beans and the pasta. This soaking water contained B vitamins and minerals that modern cooks pour down the drain. For just 8 cents, this method created a complete protein meal that would cost $12 in a restaurant today. Sicilian mothers discovered this technique not through formal education, but through necessity. It stretched expensive beans further, creating more meals from less. Number 13. Chicken feet brodo. Long before bone broth became trendy, Italian mothers created rich, collagen-packed broths from chicken feet. These women developed relationships with local butchers who saved feet for them, often giving them away free when purchasing other cuts. The preparation was meticulous. Feet were cleaned, blanched, then slow cooked with onion scraps and herb stems. The resulting broth contained more protein and minerals than modern bone broth that sells for $8 per cup. This Sunday broth became the foundation for a week's worth of soups and sauces, transforming humble ingredients into nourishing meals day after day. Number 12. Cicoria ripassata. While we pay premium prices for wild foraged greens today, Italian immigrants simply gathered dandelions from vacant lots. These women possessed invaluable knowledge about which wild plants were edible and when to harvest them. Their twice-cooked dandelion technique was masterful. First boiling removed bitterness, then sautéing with garlic added flavor. These free greens contained more vitamins than expensive supermarket produce. The irony? Today we pay $4 for dandelion greens while spraying them as weeds in our yards. Number 11. Pasta con aglio, olio e mollica. When cheese was unaffordable, costing more than most families earned in a day, Italian mothers created a genius substitute: breadcrumbs toasted in olive oil. The technique required mastery. Breadcrumbs toasted to the perfect golden color, never burned. The garlic-infused oil created a rich umami flavor without meat or cheese. This recipe survived not because of necessity, but because many families preferred it to cheese versions, finding the texture and flavor more satisfying. Here's where things get clever. The foods above relied on stretching basic ingredients, but the smartest Italian mothers knew that real abundance came from transforming what others threw away. Every scrap had potential. Every leftover had a second life. The next entries show how poverty became the mother of culinary invention. Number 10. Frittata di pasta avanzata. In Italian households, yesterday's pasta became today's protein-rich frittata. Cold leftover pasta was mixed with beaten eggs and cooked like a Spanish tortilla, creating an entirely new dish. This technique represented a fundamental value. Nothing edible ever reached the garbage. The resulting meal perfectly balanced carbohydrates, protein, and vegetables. Today, food waste reduction has become trendy, but Italian immigrants mastered this concept a century ago, creating gourmet results from what most people discard. Number 9. Acqua cotta siciliana. The name translates to cooked water, a humble description for a remarkable soup. Throughout the week, Italian women saved onion skins, celery leaves, and tomato cores that others discarded. These scraps were simmered into a surprisingly flavorful broth, with stale bread added for substance. The economic genius here is undeniable, creating satisfying meals from literal garbage. But there was also nutritional wisdom. Vegetable trimmings often contain more vitamins than the flesh we typically consume. Number 8. Polpette di pane. These meatballs contained a secret. They were 80% bread and only 20% actual meat. The ratio mastery is impressive. Bread soaked in milk, bound with egg and grated cheese rinds, created a convincing meatball experience. Herbs and garlic made the bread taste meatier than meat itself. This Sicilian technique was brilliantly adapted to American ingredient availability, allowing families to serve meatballs even when meat was scarce. The result wasn't a compromise, but a delicacy in its own right. Number 7. Pasta con le sarde povere. When actual sardines were too expensive, clever cooks created sardine-flavored pasta using only the oil from sardine tins and a small amount of anchovies. They heated the tin oil with garlic to create a sardine flavor without using actual sardines. One tin of anchovies could flavor pasta for an entire family through this economical strategy. The anchovy paste dissolved into oil created an intense savory base that satisfied the family's desire for seafood pasta. Children grew up remembering sardine pasta without realizing the ingenious deception. Number 6. Minestra maritata. The married soup philosophy demonstrates profound culinary wisdom. Vegetable scraps were married together to create a unified, satisfying soup where no single ingredient dominated. The recipe adapted seasonally based on available scraps and trimmings. The long, slow simmering married flavors into something greater than its parts. Like a successful marriage, the soup required patience and commitment, values that defined immigrant family life. The techniques above transformed scraps into sustenance, but the most ingenious Italian mothers understood something deeper. They knew that flavor wasn't about expensive ingredients. It was about time, technique, and understanding how simple elements could create complexity. What follows represents the peak of immigrant culinary wisdom. Number 5. Sugo di pomodoro con bucce during tomato canning season. Italian women saved peels and cores that others discarded. These scraps were dried on tenement rooftops and stored for winter. When cooked down, they created an intensely flavored tomato paste, more concentrated than modern versions. This economic brilliance, creating sauce from discards, was also rooted in flavor science. Tomato peels contain more lycopene and flavor compounds than the flesh. Number 4. Pasta e ceci con guscio. In this chickpea pasta dish, even the shells were utilized for maximum nutrition. Chickpeas were cooked with shells on, then the shells were removed and saved. These shells were recooked into flavorful broth for the next day's soup. This method captured every vitamin and mineral from the legumes, creating a zero-waste cooking system where even the chickpea cooking water became the base for bread dough. Number 3. Brodetto di pesce povero. Italian women arrived early at fish markets to claim the waste parts, heads, bones and scraps that fishmongers gave away. These fish bones were simmered into restaurant-quality seafood broth, with each type of bone contributing different flavors to the base. This economic transformation turned free ingredients into feast-worthy centerpieces that rivaled dishes served in expensive restaurants. Number 2. Pasta con ricotta salata fatta in cassaway. From cheese-making and milk that was beginning to turn weren't discarded. They became homemade ricotta salata. The preservation technique was ingenious. Whey was salted and aged on windowsills until it became a hard grating cheese. This resource maximization ensured every drop of precious dairy was transformed into a usable ingredient. The aging process created complex, sharp cheese from simple beginnings, adapting traditional Sicilian cheesemaking to New York tenement conditions. Here's what separates these immigrant mothers from modern home cooks. They didn't see cooking as a chore to be minimized. They saw it as alchemy, the transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary. Every technique was passed down through generations, refined through necessity, perfected through repetition. What follows is the crown jewel of this culinary wisdom. Number 1. Ragu della nonna povera. The legendary Sunday sauce represented the pinnacle of immigrant culinary wisdom. Using just a single marrow bone simmered for 8 hours, mothers created a meat-flavored sauce that could feed an extended family. This wasn't just cooking, it was community ritual. Neighbors contributed vegetables and shared in the final feast. The combination of bone marrow, vegetable scraps, and thyme created a sauce worthy of the finest restaurants. This recipe embodied everything immigrants brought to America: resourcefulness, community, and the ability to create abundance from scarcity. Here's my challenge for you. Pick 3 techniques from this list and try them this week. The bread soup that costs nothing to make, the pasta frittata that transforms leftovers, the vegetable scrap broth that captures nutrition you're throwing away. Then come back and tell me if your great-grandmother was onto something food companies want you to forget. Tell me if cooking from scraps felt like deprivation or liberation. Share which technique you're trying in the comments. I want to know if the bread meatballs get more love than the chickpea shells. I want to hear if anyone else's nonna saved every vegetable trimming like it was gold. I've tried the tomato peel sauce. My kitchen smells like my childhood memories, and I haven't bought jarred sauce in months. These weren't just recipes. They were survival strategies that happened to taste incredible. Your great-grandmother didn't cook this way because she was poor. She cooked this way because she was brilliant. She understood that real wealth meant never wasting anything, never going hungry, and always having something delicious to put on the table. Now you know what she knew. The only question is whether you're brave enough to cook like your ancestors did.